Hi, you're listening to the Expert Pod, where we interview business owners, experts, and consultants on the inspiration behind their business idea, their tips for achieving success, including their marketing and PR strategies, their key learnings, and of course, their mindset practices. Hope you enjoy the show.
Hi everyone, today I have the pleasure of interviewing one of my greatest work allies, Lynsey Fraser from Flo Social. She's a social media and digital marketing specialist who is someone I ask a lot of questions to, probably way too many without paying her. We also have Liam Zolo here from the Pod Hub as well, who may be jumping into the conversation, but essentially it is all about Lynsey, who we have actually interviewed before, but there is so much more to say about social media.
Always.
So the most important interview question of today's interview, what is the number one thing you can't live without?
My cell phone. I am obsessed. I get separation anxiety if I don't know where it is. I will quite happily say that it will sleep next to me. I know people say you shouldn't have your phone in your room and it's all that. No, mine gets tucked into bed next to me. That's it. I am obsessed with it.
I feel like we need to get you a puppy.
Yeah, you absolutely do. You absolutely do. But then I would just use the cell phone to take photos of the puppy the entire time, and I don't think I'd break the relationship.
I do that. I possibly have... You know what? I actually have no idea how many thousand photos I have of my dog.
But I enjoy them. I stalk your dog on Instagram as well. So, I live vicariously through your puppy, so don't stop.
She's got a really cute haircut at the moment. She likes her cuddles. So you're the founder of Flo Social. What made you decide to get into social media as a career, and how did you start?
So it's a bit of a kind of strange and twisted journey. I actually started back in the fitness industry, and I was a content writer. So I wrote training courses and I did presenting, and I ended up working for the Rebel Group as a content writer. So I was writing blogs, I was writing fitness education and product manuals. And I got really frustrated at times because we'd write all this amazing content, we'd develop all these things, and then they just weren't getting enough coverage because we weren't really performing where we needed to be with our social. And so I actually went to my manager at the time and said, look, I want to take this on, I want to upskill, I want to understand this because I feel like we're doing all this work, but we're not actually getting visibility. And so I started to upskill, and I was really lucky that we had a lot of programs, we had a lot of access from the position I was in to learn pretty much everything about social that I needed to. And I ended up taking on the role, not just for that brand, but for the division. And that's how I got into social.
That's also, I think, how we met.
Yes, I think so, actually.
So what do you love about working in this space?
I love the fact that it's so changing, but I also love the fact that what I do now with Flo Social lets me work and teach businesses. So I feel good about what I do because I get to help businesses succeed and expand and take on a world that does change very quickly, that does move and things do change, but I'm able to sort of help people stay at the front of that. And that always feels quite good when you can help a business grow and succeed with what you do.
Absolutely, especially if you're giving them the knowledge so that they understand what's happening rather than kind of having to trust that you just know what you're saying, I guess.
Yeah, I think, helping businesses become self-sufficient or get more out of their teams or out of their capacities, that only helps them continue to grow. I think a lot of times with businesses, if you just get stuff done for you, you're limited by the fact that there's an agency or there's somebody telling you what to do, and you never develop the capacity yourself to actually expand.
Exactly, especially with something as important as talking directly to your customers.
Oh, so important.
I know, right? So what are the main reasons for using social media if you were a business?
It's where your customers are. I think that's the biggest thing, is that it's the opportunity to connect and talk to your customers in a completely different way other than advertising. People are jaded with advertising. We see thousands of adverts every day. This allows you to actually establish connection. It allows you to talk to them. It allows you to educate them, to hear their feedback, and actually develop a relationship with them so that it's not just about, hey, come and buy my stuff. It actually goes deeper than that. And I think social is the platform that really allows you to do that. The other part of it, and the stuff I really like as well, because I'm a bit of a geek, is there's a huge data side to social media. So it's not just about, we'll put this out there and hope that somebody reads it or hope that somebody pays attention. We actually get really direct response and feedback from social, being able to see how it was reached, how it impacted people, how they responded. And that for a business is so, so valuable because they're instantly getting feedback from their customer base about what they're doing and how they're performing and which way they need to now pivot or move.
Absolutely. So on the ads, it is obviously very, very cluttered, especially on Facebook. So do you have any tips to help people stand out and actually be seen when it comes to advertising or marketing on social media?
I think, as I say, social media is two parts. It's social and it's media. You get the social part right, the media part becomes easier. So for brands who think that they can go on social media and just throw money at the problem and just try and outspend, they're not getting the advantages. If they actually use social media in the social aspect and build a community, build customer loyalty, build customer advocacy, build trust within your brand, you can get all of those things right on social media through the content, through the way that you respond to your community, the way that you reach out. When you go to actually place adverts, you've already got a tribe of people who are interested and trusting you and want to hear from you. The sale becomes a very natural next step in that process. So a lot of businesses just treat it like a traditional media buy, and they're just going to spend this much on their ads and expect them to work. And that's really not what the social platforms offer.
Absolutely. And what are the most powerful platforms in your opinion, and what are your tips for an absolute beginner who's getting started?
The most powerful marketing platform in the world, without a doubt, I will fight you on this, is Facebook. 150,000%. And when I say Facebook, you've got to remember that Facebook and Instagram are partners and the same company essentially, so the data can be fed between the two platforms. So put Instagram and Facebook in the same hub, but they're the most powerful platforms in the world because they don't just know about, Google knows how you search, Amazon knows how you shop, Facebook knows how you live your life. And the reason it knows that is we've spent the last 10, 15 years telling Facebook and Instagram everything we do. We check into places, we tell them which movies we watch, we tell them how we communicate with people, how we interact with our friends, when we go on holidays. We now have Facebook tracking that sits across websites, so we can see how we visit websites. And so Facebook collects us all up as what we call data points. And it has got more data points on any person in the world than any of the other platforms put together. Now, I know that sounds super creepy. Yes, I know it is a little bit. But what it means is that they've got a really solid profile of you as a customer and a consumer. So that when adverts and things get placed, they're about actually helping you find exactly what you're looking for and you find the best experience possible. So because of that, and because the advertising platforms on Facebook and Instagram are self-serve, which means you don't need a qualification, you don't need to buy your way into it, anybody can access them. They're self-serve and they allow businesses to get access to those data points and that useful customer information just for like $1 a day is the minimum ad spend. So it's so powerful, especially for small businesses, because it can put them in front of their customer, find the right people for them to talk to, but not cost them thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to do that. It is phenomenal. And there's really no other system in the world that's that efficient.
That is actually pretty amazing when you put it that way. I mean, creepy, but amazing.
Super creepy. I mean, they're not just reading your thoughts. They've already probably mapped out what your next 10 thoughts are going to be before you think them. So.
Maybe instead of seeing psychics, we should see people who work at Facebook. So for a brand getting started, mapping out their social media strategy, for example, do you have any tips to get them started? Like, would you recommend that they talk to an expert to begin with, or is there a roadmap that people should consider? Like, what would be your best advice for someone to do this properly?
I would absolutely say the first place to start is really with your customer and understanding them, because that will give you the power to make so many better decisions. Understand which social platforms your customer is actually spending their time on. What kind of things do they use the platforms for? What are their lives like? What are they interested in? When are they using the platforms? Are they frequent users? Are they frequent purchasers? All of these things are really important. So understanding who you want to talk to is the first thing you actually need to do before you decide to start talking to them. And I think a lot of brands just skip over and they get too generic with their customer. Go, okay, my brand is going to talk to women 18 to 35 years old. Amazing, great. But within that, we're all so different that just to go, everybody in that bracket is going to be my customer is pretty naive. So start to really break down and understand what is it your customer wants from you? What is it they need from you? What are the pain points? What are the things you offer? What's different about your product to your competitor's product? All of these things are important to understand so that when you do start going onto the platforms, you do start putting messages or content out there, you really understand who you're talking to and what kind of message is trying to land. with him. So that's the first thing I'd say they do. The next part of that is you do need to have some sort of training or some sort of understanding about what the platforms can do. So whether that's seeing an expert, whether it's doing a training course, whether it's getting some online education, whatever that might be, it's really important to understand, because if you don't know what the platforms are capable of doing or the best way to do that, you're always putting yourself on the back foot. It's like I always describe to people, imagine trying to do your own accounts or your own expenses and nobody's showing you how to do any bookkeeping. And you're just going on there trying to figure it out because you can put some numbers together.
I just pay someone to do it.
Well, that's the other thing you can do, is you can get an expert in to pay them and actually get them to do it for you. But if you haven't been shown the possibilities and the capabilities of something, you'll just go in. People go in because they've got a pedestrian understanding of social media, of how to use it, how to post, and how to put their own pictures up and make their own connections. They think that they understand the business suite and the power of the advertising tools that sit in the platforms, but they don't. So just getting some training or getting some guidance around how to actually pull that together or use those tools, that will set you in the best position to actually market and use social media for business.
Makes sense. So what's the biggest achievement or the biggest thing that you've done that's made a difference to your business to date?
Biggest achievement for us would be to become a Facebook marketing consultant partner.
So exciting.
It is it's a little bit of a pinch me moment, I have to say, because there's only so far 60 consultants globally. There are 2 in Australia.
Wow.
And we're one of them. So every time I to see my little business listed in the Facebook partnership directory, like I can go onto a Facebook business now and look for a marketing consultant, and it's myself and another business in Australia that sit there. And I sometimes I just do that every so often if I'm feeling a bit down. I just log into Facebook and I'm like, oh, look, there I am. So that's been a huge achievement for us.
That's amazing. And what has been the biggest roadblock?
I think getting started out, it was just actually believing in myself and believing in what we could do with the business. I think it's really easy when you start out to get railroaded, or to sort of just, when you don't have the confidence when you first start out your business, you make a lot of wrong decisions because you'll take on work that you shouldn't do, you'll take on clients that you shouldn't have, you'll charge through things that you shouldn't charge. You'll just make a lot of decisions that don't necessarily best serve you in the long run. So I think just learning to be confident in what we do, to understand the value that we provide to businesses and really leaning into that, that's been the biggest thing for us.
Absolutely. And if you could tell the public one thing, what would your message be?
So many. Facebook's not listening to your thoughts.
But is it not? Like, I seriously get some really crazy ads based on conversations that I have in front of my computer.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so if you think about it, as I said to you, Facebook's probably already profiled you with data points. And when you have that conversation, what you're doing is bringing that product to the front of your mind. And then when you're logging onto Facebook, you're likely to be observed that advert anyway. Then now you just recognize it because it's now in the front of your head that you've actually just spoken about it. It's a well-known psychology called reticular activation, where you actually, because you've been thinking about something, you start seeing it everywhere. Well, it's the same thing with Facebook ads. You were probably going to be profiled and served that content anyway, but now that you've had that conversation, you've thought about it recently, you're actually aware of the adverts you see. You see thousands of adverts every day on Facebook, but when you think about that product, that's when it's going to show up.
However, in this case,
yeah.
So basically what happened was this influencer was in the newspaper talking about how there was like this dating site for girls who only want to meet billionaires. And she went to the newspaper to complain about the fact that they didn't set her up with a billionaire, which obviously myself and my staff had a huge laugh about. Like, it was a hilarious conversation.
Yeah.
I could tell you I've never typed date a billionaire into the internet, ever.
Yeah.
I've never typed that into Facebook, and all of a sudden I was getting ads for it.
Did you read the article?
Oh.
Profiled.
Damn it. She has an answer for everything. What is this?
Well, there you go. There's actually a way, especially with the way that the Facebook tracking pixel can work on websites, is we can see what you're watching. We can see how long you've spent. We can even put the pixel, which just basically sends information back to Facebook to let them know about how people behave on websites. that can even be placed at certain points or to go on, like to what we call trigger, after a certain amount of time. So we can even tell when somebody's actually read an article or scrolled down a page or has spent enough time on the page to have read the content on the page. So we know people who visit it compared to people who read it. So you probably fell into a targeting bucket that way.
Oh my God. Dear God.
It's like creepy, very creepy, but it really is about providing the best possible user experience. It's not about spying on people or taking away anybody's rights or privacies. It's about delivering the ultimate experience every time you use the apps, so that you get served content you want to see, you get connected with things you want to connect with, so that they understand how to provide you a unique and tailored experience. That's really what the platforms and the AI is about. But yeah, it's a little creepy.
Meanwhile, anyone who saw the ads on my Facebook page would think I'm an absolute moron with the stuff I get targeted with. So what is your favourite mantra or rule to live by then?
I have this up in a big placard on my wall at home, and it's called "Life is not about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself." And I love that.
I like that.
I absolutely love that. I think a lot of people are always searching for the meaning of things, or searching or looking for something bigger, instead of just getting stuck in and figuring it out. So that's probably mine.
Yeah, I used to be guilty of being like, no, I'm going to be bored and unhappy until I hit this goal, or I'll be bored and unhappy until I hit this one. But now I've realised that most of my days are pretty fun, so I should probably just enjoy myself.
Yeah, and it always amazes me when you meet people who are like, oh, I wish I could do that, and I wish I could do that, and oh, that's so great. And I'm like, well, why don't you do it? And they're like, oh, no. I'm like, you've already put that barrier up to stop yourself. You can actually go and do anything that you really want to, but a lot of people are just like, oh, no, not for me.
I actually find the biggest barrier is the longer you wait to do something. So, I mean, even with my website situation, which let's not even get started on that, but like, I thought that maybe it would have been ready earlier this week. And when I got the email about it, I'm like, oh my God, I now have to actually get more people onto the platform, because it's been like such a big build up, like since January. Like, I mean, I've obviously already got a bunch of people on there using it, but I haven't been able to get new people on because it hasn't really worked. But like, because it's been so long, I was like, all of a sudden, oh my God, I actually have to do the work now. That's why you just have to like rip off the Band-Aid and do it.
And, you know, I think a big thing for people is just getting started, just even with that one small step. And the other motto I have to say I really like, which was Facebook's motto for a long time, which is just move fast and break things. And that's kind of how Facebook approaches rollouts and updates to the platform, unfortunately, is that they don't fully test everything that they want to do. They just put it out there and they fix it if it needs to be fixed, and they keep going. And so that's how they've managed to develop and progress the platforms and the things. I mean, it's a little frustrating sometimes because it is a very buggy platform and it does break quite a bit, but it also is a great way of them actually focusing on progress and forward motion. It's not to be perfect, just to throw it out there, let's see what sticks, and we'll fix it if we need to.
But anything that is that big of a beast and has so many people on there playing with it, probably screwing things up, like I'm surprised it doesn't break more.
It breaks a lot. When you work in the back of the platforms, I just like to say, everybody who struggles with Facebook ads, sometimes it's not you, sometimes it is just the platform's crashed.
Yeah, it's funny because like obviously I'm on it way less than you, so for me, like, I mean, the other day I was trying to post something to Instagram and it wouldn't let me post from like my saved photos, and I was like, God, could you imagine if I cared? Like, this would be like the worst thing ever. And sure enough, you go onto a forum and all these people are writing about it. I'm like, it'll get fixed. Like, you don't have to like take action that's going to do absolutely nothing, like just to waste your time.
Welcome to my world.
So Lynsey, how can people find you?
Flo Social. So we are FLO Social. So there's no W in that, just in case you get it wrong.
Yes.
You're welcome to jump on and find us at flowsocial.com.au, or follow us on any of our social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. But yeah, follow us if you want sort of social media advice and tips, and keeping up to date with all the education and content.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lynsey. I appreciate having you on the show. Now let's go drink some wine.
Hell yes.